you want to be successful? Do you want to grow your business? Do you want to dominate the day? Then you're going to need Big Skip Energy. Welcome to the Big Skip Energy Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Skip. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Listen, it's my absolute pleasure, and I am excited to have you kick off my newest season. So, hey, don't disappoint my listeners.
Oh,
okay?
Definitely not.
All right, well, if you would, please, for those of you out there that don't know, Liz, would you please just take a second, introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, what you're all about?
Absolutely. My name's Liz Short. I am a strategy and technology consultant. I basically help executives, CEOs, businesses optimize their people, process, and technology. I also have a history in the mortgage industry. I have been in the industry for over 22 years, helping people solve problems. So excited to come on here and talk a little bit with you today, Skip, about some of the problems we have.
Yeah, I know, right?
Things in our industry.
Yeah, awesome. Well, before we dive into that, so you're a fellow mortgage veteran here,
That
right?
is correct.
So, and tell me a little bit about how you got into the mortgage business. I'm always curious to hear people's stories, how they, of how they arrived here, because I'm sure it's random like mine is.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the one thing that I knew that I did not want to do when I grew up was mortgages. I come from a mortgage family.
Do you? Okay.
My dad, my aunt, and my cousin are all in the business along with me. My aunt and my father are both retired now.
So it's in your blood.
I knew that I did not anything but what my dad did. So I actually went to school and studied women's studies. I wanted to get into domestic violence work, run a women's shelter, something completely different than what I'm doing now. But, the economy at the time, different things led me back to the industry. And once I got in, I absolutely loved it. There's just you never have two of the same day, and anything that's a challenge that's constantly being thrown at you. A different kind of challenge than I thought I would be solving when I went to school and got my degree, but I absolutely loved it. And I, have been here ever since.
Well, see, there you go. So, you couldn't be Jane Addams, right? But, here we, and how often can you have that reference in a podcast?
I am very impressed, and that is a first for me. That's for sure.
That's what you should have called your companies, is like Whole House for mortgage, right?
We might be doing a rebrand after you said that.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, see, it's just interesting. This is an industry that takes in people from all backgrounds, all sorts of, training, all kinds of different things. And we seem to accept everybody, which I think is one of the really cool things about mortgage.
Absolutely. It's a very diverse community. And I think that the background that we all bring adds something to it, right? And we all can bring different things that we've learned in different industries, our different experiences. And I love the saying, there's a different type of loan officer for everyone, right? And I think that's definitely true. There's not just one way to do a mortgage, get a mortgage, sell a mortgage. And I love that.
So on that note, one thing that you said there is really interesting because, people who go out and look for a mortgage, going to work with a loan officer, they should anyway, instead of going online. Yeah. But, I was actually looking at something, a buddy of mine, his name's Lee Sauls. He's a nationally renowned sales trainer. Okay. And his whole thing is sales differentiation. Mm-hmm. And he put out a video, he calls it Lee's Lessons. And one of the things out there that he was discussing was the 4 reasons people buy from you. And everyone knows that they have to like you, they have to trust you, right? Those are the 2 classics. More modern is they also have to, or it's how you can help them achieve their outcomes, right? So it's outcome expertise. Well, the 4th one he added in there goes right to what you were saying, and that's the empathetic expertise, how well you connect with the person that you're trying to help out. And that, to me, goes right to what you just said. It really plays into that whole, there's a loan officer for everybody, right? Absolutely. Because you just don't know who you're going to, like 2 people could have the exact same everything from a quantitative standpoint. And the person is going to select one over the other for a qualitative reason. So I think it's just as important to focus on that. I know that's not what we came on here to discuss.
I love it, though. I love it. I think it's so important. There's a lot of, I have to be just like this, or this person is doing it this way. And I think a lot of times we focus too much on not looking at what makes us unique and helping use that to attract clients and customers that want to do business with us.
Well, it's what you're going to start talking about here, the different technology and this kind of thing that people need. What's the best? Well, the best is a fluid, kind of designation, right? Absolutely. The best for one may not be the best for another. So let's actually use that as a jumping off point to talk a little bit about that. Now, before we started recording, obviously I asked you, hey, is there anything specific that you really want to focus on? And you brought that tech part up. Talk to me a little bit about that, about what you do and the kind of things that you're seeing, the challenges out there and how people can navigate those.
Absolutely. So I think we can all agree that our industry is maybe not the most tech advanced, right? We kind of fight it kicking and screaming in a lot of ways. But I really do believe that in this cycle, we're not going to come out of the other side looking the same way from how we manufacture a loan, right? Clients, customers, consumers, we all, I do, right? I expect an online experience, but I also want to be able to, when something goes wrong, pick up the phone and talk to someone to make it go right, right? And so I think there is too much of a binary discussion, right? AI is going to get rid of loan officers. Technology is driving out underwriters, right? That's not the case. We need all of these people. What we need is a way to do our jobs in a more easy and efficient fashion and for the customers to have a more frictionless process, right? So what does that mean? Well, what that means is in most companies, we're behind the 8 ball, right? We have a lot of really old, really bad, technology that a lot of times is connected with what I like to say, duct tape and bubble gum, right? It is not necessarily this fancy, efficient tech stack. And so it's hard when you're a loan officer to know what's behind the scenes, right? What am I getting? What do I need? You hear, oh, this loan officer, this company has this system, or I've worked on this before. A lot of times people focus too much on the specific technology that they want at their company or at a company that they're moving to, instead of figuring out what do you need for your borrowers and for you to do your business better. And that's not going to be the name of an LOS or the name of a CRM. That's going to be the ability to text, right? The ability to manage my customers, to have marketing campaigns that work for me, right? All of those features and functionality are important. And so what I do is come in and help companies figure out where they're at, where they want to go, and how to bridge the gap between those two places. Because you're right. Technology is evolving, right? What is best in class today isn't going to be best in class tomorrow.
No.
So you have to figure out what's best for you, what your loan origination process needs to look like, and then how you need to plug technology into that in a way that enhances you as a subject matter expert when we're talking about a loan officer, right? And allows you to more efficiently communicate and work with your potential leads, customers, and clients.
Yeah, and something you said there really stood out. It's also because, taking what you do, first of all, from a standpoint of, hey, if a loan officer is looking to make a change to a different company, those are things to consider. But let's just look at it from my world. So being in the wholesale space and at a company where we focus almost primarily on financial institutions, smaller ones, community banks, credit unions, that kind of thing, they are notorious for being a little bit behind on technology.
Sure.
Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. It's some of it's scalability, so because tech's expensive, especially on the banking side, right? But a lot of times we look at it from a shiny new object thing, right? And so that seems to be the lure. But instead of people taking the time to do exactly what you just said and say, hey, how is this going to help me? So what are some of the exercises people can do before making a decision? Let's just look at it from a institutional standpoint. If a company is looking to add a mortgage software to their stack, what are some of the key questions that they need to ask themselves? Let's just take it. Let's take LOS out of it, right? Let's really drill down. Let's get specific. Let's say a CRM.
Sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
Now, other than because you talk to whoever the CRM is going to be out there, Total Expert, Surefire, fill in the blank. It doesn't matter. I'm not picking on you too, by the way. So if you're hearing this, please don't think I'm picking on you. But, they're going to say, we do this and this. The salesperson should be going through that needs list to see if they're a good fit. But what can the person on the other end do? What kind of checklist should they be making?
Absolutely.
To see about
absolutely. No, great question. And I think you're absolutely right. When we're talking about banks and credit unions, huge opportunity for them in this market, right? Huge opportunity. And a unique position that they're in because of a lot of times they're very high touch, right? They do have a customer, a member that's coming in through the door that's talking to them. But that member also wants a frictionless experience. And so
Sure.
how do you marry those two things
It's still
together?
2024,
Exactly. Yeah. So love the example of CRMs. Love all my CRM vendor partners. There's a million of you out there that are all the best. If you are going out and starting to talk to CRM companies, the first thing I do is tell people before you get in a demo, you have to understand what you need. Okay. And the first thing to do that is understand what's that big vision that you're trying to hit, right? Bank or credit union, what are you trying to do?
Yeah, how does the mortgage fit into your overall business plan?
Exactly. So in 5 years, where does that mortgage component, where do you want it to be? In a year, where do you want it to be, right? And really understanding that and understanding the goals behind that, you're then going to be able to walk into, okay, so now what do we need? What is missing in order to do this? And walking through and outlining what those features and requirements are. And especially if we're talking about executives, you have to look at the rest of your tech stack too, right? What other core technology do you have that the system is going to plug into? Are you an Outlook shop? What LOS do you have? What core banking system do you have? All of these things are really important outside of whatever that salesperson, love you, mortgage or salespeople, is going to tell you when you walk into that demo. And so a lot of times we're not experts in how to demo technology, right? And that's not our day-to-day job. And so coming in with a list of questions of things you absolutely must have as far as features, and then in the demo, ask to see that feature. Ask them to show it to you. And if they can't show it to you, they have to get somebody else, get them back in the room so they can walk you through it, right? Yeah. A lot of times it might check a box, right, on name, but when you get in there and actually see how it works, it's not going to work. And so get clear is my overall message, right? You have to understand really what your vision is, what your goals are, and then where those gaps and needs are that you're trying to fill. Then start talking to people, get them in the room and looking at those specific tech products. Because I mean, I'll tell you, I go on a demo, I want every tech product I see. They're great, right? They're fun, they're shiny.
Oh, that's great.
You need to take control of how you're asking the questions and how you're viewing that product versus just sitting back and letting them show you their kind of scripted speech of how they're walking through that product as well too.
And so for my listeners out there that they know this is above all else a sales and business development show. And so something you said there, two big takeaways, guys, as a segue. One is, if you're one of those salespeople, you should be sure that you're asking those questions. Yes. They don't put it on the prospect to tell you. However, the prospect should be doing their own homework because that's just what they should be doing. Isn't it funny how it doesn't matter what it is that we're talking about, whether it's a mortgage or tech or selling widgets, it doesn't matter. The same stuff applies. Yes. We all have to come together as a collaboration to make this a success. Isn't that weird?
It's funny how that applies across.
Yeah, I know. Weird, huh? So, okay. So what are you seeing out there? What are you seeing out there as far as what most mortgage companies, LOs, that kind of thing, are really seeking out to try and take their business to the next level? What particular software or feature or what are you seeing out there?
Yeah. So I think right now, everybody's talking about AI, right? I
have
to say those words or you would not take me seriously.
Yep.
But I think if we take a step back, right, before we start talking about AI and all of those things, what we really mean when we're saying that is we want an automated process that's using our data efficiently. And so before we are really ready as a whole industry or for as many lenders or as a loan officer to be worried about AI coming in and stealing loan origination, which I, as a technologist, do not believe that is going to happen. No, right? We need the people in the process. But you really need to understand what your processes are and how to use your data. And so the companies that are really winning the game, I think, are making sure that they understand all of the data that they're capturing, right? Because we get so much information from our leads, from our customers tell us so much.
Well, look at the application. You literally have a snapshot of their entire financial life.
Absolutely. We know so much about our potential customers. And so how are we taking that information? How are we using it not only to more smartly meet their needs, but also capture what those needs are? Who aren't we doing business with? Why did we lose that deal? How do we capture more of the market share? And I think really blending tech and data to support the humans that we have running our business, that's the name of the game for the people in our industry who are doing it right. Because we want our salespeople to be industry experts. They are liaisons
Yeah, not
or
just experts on what on their product. They need to know the
no,
how
no.
it fits in.
And they are in this industry, you are advising your client in a lot of ways how to get into a position to become a homeowner, right? And so that
Mhm.
takes a lot of time and energy. We need to automate all those boxes being checked, all those things that you don't need to spend time doing so you can be that professional, that mentor, that counselor. Sometimes it feels like, right, in a lot of
Yep.
ways with that client to turn leads into people who can actually buy a home in this market, which is really hard today.
It's funny you said it because one of the owners of 5x5 Funding, the company that I work
Yep.
for, Mark Milam, actually just shared this story with us on a sales call last week about a VA borrower had to do a ton of credit rebuild. He had to do, it was a long process, had to get in the position where he could actually buy a home. It took a long time. In that time, though, they really strengthened the relationship. And it would have been easy. And this is not, by the way, this is not in like this time where you're scrounging around trying to get every deal. This is, a decently busy time that this happened. But and it was still long then, but you really built up a relationship with that customer and got him to the closing table eventually. And and this grown man has got tears in his eyes. You bring him to this because you have finished the marathon. Loans today are not a sprint; they are at least a half marathon. Sometimes longer than that. But you know what? That's an opportunity. That's an opportunity where it may not be a quick payout, but given the opportunity to help that person out, build a better relationship, gives you more chances for referrals, more chances to strengthen that, more chances for a lot of different things. And you really are building a customer for life. I firmly believe that. But it all goes back with how you can track the information and metrics and use that technology, just like you said, right? So I'm kind of curious about this, and I'm putting you on the spot, and you may not know the answer to
Ooh,
this,
I
but you're,
love
but
it.
you're out there, you're advising a lot of people on this kind of thing. What are you seeing right now? This is more for all my LOs out there. What are you seeing as the average time from prospect, that first call, that pre-approval to close? I mean, are you seeing it be, because once the loan gets in, that's easy. We have metrics for that. But a lot of people who don't use CRMs and that kind of thing, they kind of have to guess, right? They're like, I think it took us about 6 months maybe to get, don't know. What are you seeing out there?
It of course depends on the population that
Sure.
you are marketing to, right? There's a loan officer for every person
Yeah.
as well too. But overall, they have increased
Yeah.
significantly,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we're talking about people that are now working with clients for, I think 6 months could be on the low side for some of these
Yeah.
clients, right? We're working on getting people into better credit positions. We're helping them figure out how to, restructure their debt in order
Yeah.
to, qualify. And so I would say that on average, we're seeing some of these cycle times trend over 12
Mm.
months and well over 12 months. And I think the loan officers that are still very successful in closing business, it's because they are working on these types of deals, right? They are taking the opportunity that's out there and creating it. And that just takes a long time. And I know for me personally, it's hard to track sales cycles that are longer than a
It
couple
is.
weeks unless you have a tool out there. And so,
Right.
again, using those tools like a CRM are going to help you keep in contact of more people over a longer period, paying you in the future for the work that you're doing today.
Yeah, 100%. So let's shift gears a little bit to talk
Okay.
about LOs that may be looking for a new home, because we're
Okay.
unfortunately, we're in a market now where a lot of LOs are being forced to look for a new home
Yeah.
for, because of layoffs or closures, whatever the case may be.
It's hard. Yeah,
Or, you may have some producers that are saying, you know what, it's just not a good fit anymore. I'm looking to
for
move.
sure.
So what are you seeing out there as far as the main tech and bells and whistles that folks are really kind of zoning in on as a reason to say, hey, you know what, I could use A, B, or C to grow, and that's what I want to go after.
Yeah, I think that's great. A great question. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a single piece of technology, right?
Right.
I think you have the folks that are, hey, I needed to find a new place. Where am I going? But when we're
Hmm.
specifically talking about folks not getting their needs met where they currently are
Sure.
and looking to go somewhere else, I think it's the overall attitude towards technology of the company, right? And so loan officers today need a tech forward lender that's willing to understand that in our environment today, there's continuous change that's needed, to your point, right? To constantly keep up with what we're doing. AI is a great example, right? AI is going to change how we all do business with everything over the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Yeah, of course.
I would say a word of caution, right? I like to approach this from a word of caution.
Mm-hmm.
If you are looking for an employer and you're sitting down and you're telling them a specific tech stack that you want, and they tell you, no problem, we'll get that for you, I think that is a red flag, because it is impossible to support 7, 13, 25 different CRMs. And there's 25 different CRMs out there, right? And so again, the name of the game is really being able to integrate and get better technology. And if you are asking for a specific piece of technology that organization doesn't have as a one-off for you, you're not going to get the benefit of the whole integration of how the data moves, of what they're going to give you as value.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're looking to change, really, again, it goes back to what are those needs that you have as a loan officer that you need to be able to prospect, maintain, nurture your leads, as well as collect documents, close loans. We talk a lot about the people piece of it, but understanding how those people and those technology pieces play together, I think is way more important than, oh, we need insert CRM that I'm not going to say here because I'll make a lot of other CRMs back.
No, right.
But there is no perfect solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's understanding what your needs are and what solution then works best for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also, it really boils down to the LO saying, okay, this is where I'm at. Where do I want to be?
Yes.
How do I get there? And then you say, okay, then I go and look and see who already has that out there. And once you go through your checklist, if a company doesn't check off 1 or 2 of those boxes, then the conversation is, okay, can I live without that?
Yep.
If the answer is no, then you keep looking, right?
Yep. And I think that when we're talking about basic technology, a lot of the lenders out there are going to have the technology. Now, it might not be in the wrapper that you want it, right? It might be called something new. There might be a learning curve that you have to adjust to. And that might or might not be worth it as well, too, right? I think those are all decisions that you have to put into the hat when you're weighing who you're going to, go to and hang your license up with next. It's not an easy decision.
No, it's not. It's not. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be done at just on a whim, right?
No.
All right. So Liz, as we kind of draw to a close, what else do you want to share with the listeners?
Well, I just, I'm a very optimistic person. I'm a glass half full type of person, right? Like I'm going to give me a challenge and I'm going to figure out how to get through it. And so, I guess the last thing that I would say is just take advantage of the opportunity that you do have. A lot of times we sit around and say, I don't have this tech. I don't have this, rates are high. I get it. They're going to be, but maybe there's a feature or functionality in the software or tech stack that you haven't implemented yet in your business, right? Talk to your technology team, talk to someone else, maybe a peer at your company that you just love how they're doing business, right? Figure out, is there something that you can bring into your business that can help improve efficiency? A lot of times, I will say this, myself included, we like to kind of reinvent the wheel and create this whole big new process. Pick one thing, implement it, and then pick another thing and implement it. It doesn't have to be this big shiny thing. There's a lot of
it's the 1% better concept, right?
Yeah. So what's out there? And you brought up CRM, so I'll challenge everybody. Open up your CRM. What aren't you using in there that you could? And, my biggest tip is voice to text on our phone is amazing. Talk your CRM notes into your phone, copy and paste it into your CRM. If you can't do voice to text directly in there, there's a lot of cool hacks that you can use to be able to use that technology better.
Yeah. And guys, if y'all don't have a CRM, don't utilize it. You've got to come up with some method. If your company says, hey, look, we're a small group, we're just not willing to pony up for that right now, don't use that as an excuse to not do it. There are ways. Look, you can use Outlook as a CRM if you absolutely had to.
Excel,
there are ways to do it. Don't use that as an excuse, because if you're not using your tech, what you have, to Liz's point, to its utmost, you're gonna have problems. So
I love it. Yeah. Your money is walking out the door if you're not using a CRM. That is 100% a true statement.
Exactly right. So, all right, Liz. So if the listeners want to learn more about you, get in contact with you, where should they go?
Absolutely. My favorite place to hang out is LinkedIn. You can find me over there, The Liz Short. I put out video content twice a week. I try and keep it a little humorous on leadership, tech, process improvement. So if you're interested, find me over on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really enjoyed it. And I'm sure we'll have to run to each other at some point and during the convention circuit that we all seem to be on, right?
Oh, definitely. We will meet in real life soon enough, Skip. And I appreciate the energy that you're bringing to this industry and all you're doing to help us get to the next
Absolutely.
side.
Well, thank you again.
Have a good one, Skip. Bye-bye.